We have a hypothesis that we're still working on, supported to some degree by relevant literature. Imagine you're looking for a stable partner. What do you want in them? At least in principle, you don't want too much mismatch on the 5 fundamental dimensions. For example, if you're very extroverted and your partner is very introverted, you'll constantly argue about how much social activity you should engage in. It's very hard for people who differ widely on these dimensions to find consensus because it's not just a matter of opinion, it's about fundamentally different types of people. Introverts don't enjoy large-scale social interactions much. One-on-one is fine, but groups tire them out. Extroverts, on the other hand, with or without social interaction because it motivates them positively. If you're agreeable and your partner is disagreeable, you'll also run into problems. The agreeable person will say whatever the other wants, while the disagreeable person will demand to know what you actually want, often harshly. The agreeable person will find the disagreeable one unpleasant, and the disagreeable person will see the agreeable one as wishy-washy. This is a major source of tension between men and women, as women tend to be higher in agreeableness, about half a standard deviation, which is significant in psychological terms. This means that in random male-female pairs, the woman will be more agreeable about 60% of the time. With conscientiousness, if you're industrious and orderly, you might be sensitive to disgust, which we'll discuss later. Industrious people dislike inactivity. It unsettles them. They don't necessarily feel happy working, but they can't stand doing nothing. Historically, unproductive people were likely eliminated by those who valued labor, so conscientious people feel a strong ethical duty to work. The advantage of a conscientious partner is their hard work. The downside is they might struggle to relax. If you're conscientious and your partner isn't, you'll be frustrated by their lack of effort. On the orderly dimension, if you're neater than your roommate, you'll always be the one cleaning. Women are slightly more orderly than men, which may explain the unequal distribution of housework. Even a small difference means one person always notices mess first. Living with someone very different from you leads to conflict. They'll see you as uptight, and you'll see them as a mess. Understanding your personality helps you find someone compatible long-term. You don't want someone exactly like you. Some differences balance each other out. We don't know the optimal balance, but extreme differences create chronic conflict. For strong, lasting relationships, first decide if that's truly what you want. Being single forever isn't realistic. For most, it can lead to psychological instability. We outsource much of our sanity through social feedback. Without others, we drift toward our worst tendencies. Humans are social animals. Isolation is suboptimal. Today, finding permanent relationships is harder because casual relationships are easier, for example, Tinder. But deep down, most people long for something meaningful. Relationships offer more than sex. They provide stability for children, who fare better with 2 parents. Raising kids is labor-intensive, especially early on, requiring shared effort. A stable relationship also deepens life, intertwining 2 lives like stronger ropes. Marriage is a wrestling match. It's not about living happily ever after, but contending and growing together. It's a sacrament because it's more than a physiological union. It's spiritual growth. Divorce is costly financially, emotionally, and for children. Stepfamilies often struggle as step-parents aren't as invested as biological parents. Kids in stepfamilies face higher abuse rates. Marriage must be based on trust and transparency. To know if someone is right for marriage, ensure you can negotiate practical life matters, finances, chores, careers, children. Living together before marriage doesn't reduce divorce rates, it may increase them. Commitment is key. Without it, you won't solve problems. Marriage is a machine for mutual growth. My wife and I, married for years, have built a life, raised kids, and now enjoy grandchildren. Trust and truth-telling are vital. Without them, you can't navigate life's challenges. Reward good behavior in relationships. Notice and appreciate it. Avoid punishing positive actions. Schedule time together like dates to maintain connection. Aim for at least 1 meaningful conversation and 1 intimate moment weekly. Without this, relationships deteriorate. For young men seeking marriage, find someone you're attracted to, trustworthy, and who'd be a good mother. Women who don't want children by their mid-30s may lack psychological alignment. Marriage is voluntary enslavement, a commitment to truth and growth. The alternative, fragmented relationships, leads to misery. Sacrifice is inevitable, choose yours wisely. Maturity means narrowing potential to actualize a meaningful life. University should teach responsibility, not just abstract knowledge. Human brains are game engines. We simulate futures to avoid real-world failures. The unknown manifest as disruptions like arguments in relationships. Optimal relationships have a 5:1 positive to negative interaction ratio. Too much positivity lacks challenge. Too much negativity destroys connection. A good relationship is a wrestling match, growth through conflict. To build trust, reward good behavior genuinely. Skinner's reinforcement theory applies: reward desired actions, ignore minor flaws. Avoid punishing positive behavior. In parenting, ensure kids are well behaved so others enjoy their company. Divorce is costly financially, emotionally, and for kids. Avoid it by solving problems early. If you must divorce, negotiate peacefully. Single parenting is harder, kids need stability. Marriage provides continuity, shared labor, and mutual growth. Two brains are better than one, different perspectives help. A well-set-up home is a sanctuary. For trauma, for example, betrayal, analyze the situation, don't assume it's all your fault. Temperamental incompatibility, for example, conscientious versus careless is hard to change. Extract lessons to improve future behavior. The hypothalamus regulates basic drives: eating, temperature, aggression. Even a decorticate cat can function. It's hyper-curious because it lacks learned filters. Artists like Van Gogh reignite our curiosity about ignored things. DNA repair mechanisms show life's complexity. Molecular machines fix errors. Psychology's terms motivation, emotion oversimplify brain complexity. The hypothalamus has many subsystems, each with unique functions. In short, aim for the highest good, tell the truth, and let meaning guide you. Sacrifice potentiality for actuality, commit to growth. Marriage and parenting are profound responsibilities, but they enrich life. Avoid divorce by solving problems early. Reward good behavior, communicate, and prioritize each other. Life's complexity demands responsibility, embrace it for a meaningful existence. You should know someone well enough to determine whether you can negotiate with them and whether you've begun to envision a shared future that excites and inspires confidence in both of you. This depends on your maturity level, but it means considering practical questions. Do you share enough interests? Are you aligned in your approach to careers, children, and family dynamics? You must start planning your life together realistically: finances, living arrangements, and long-term goals. While intense romantic attraction is vital and worth nurturing with effort, it's not enough on its own. You need maturity and intentionality to merge your lives. Setting up a household requires explicit agreements, not just unconscious assumptions. Sit down as conscious partners and negotiate responsibilities. Who handles meals, groceries, bills, or chores? How will tasks be divided fairly? These discussions reveal whether you're capable of collaborating on life's practicalities. A lifelong commitment demands seriousness. Without an exit strategy, you're forced to invest in the relationship's quality and sustainability. This is especially crucial when children enter the picture. A strong partnership is like intertwining ropes, creating something more resilient than either of you alone. Together, you navigate careers, health, intimacy, and parenting, a challenging but profound shared adventure. Modern people often fear children, viewing them as tiny tyrants. But children only dominate if you let them. In my book, I advise, don't let your children behave in ways that make you dislike them. You have immense control over your relationship with them. With a reliable partner, you can structure a household where children enrich your lives rather than overwhelm them. My marriage thrives because of mutual trust, attraction, and hard work. We've built a life, raised children, including overcoming serious health struggles, and now welcome grandchildren with joy. The shackles of commitment aren't constraints, they're unbreakable bonds that elevate both partners. But this requires brutal honesty. Truth-telling is hardest when it exposes flaws or past lies, but it's the foundation of trust. You may not fully forgive yourself for past mistakes, but you can commit to truth moving forward, minimizing harm while building a transparent future. The core of a lasting relationship? The ability to communicate honestly and negotiate conflicts. Without that, no amount of love or attraction will sustain it. This version maintains the original meaning while improving flow, clarity, and conciseness. Let me know if you'd like any adjustments. A hug from a man is more than just a simple act of daily life. It carries something worth understanding, something meaningful beneath the surface that warrants careful reflection. To assume otherwise is to miss the subtle language of human interaction, a language that reveals much about the giver, the receiver, and the space that exists between them. When a man gives a hug, it's not merely a physical act, it is a revelation, an unspoken statement layered with context, intention, and emotion. To interpret it, you must first consider the nature of the relationship. Is this a close friend, a partner, a family member, or someone you've just met? Each context frames the gesture differently, and while the action may look identical from the outside, its meaning shifts depending on the relational foundation upon which it is built. The human body, particularly in moments of intimacy like a hug, communicates truths that words often fail to capture. A man who extends his arms in an embrace is offering something of himself, a sense of warmth, reassurance, or perhaps even vulnerability. Vulnerability in itself is a significant act. To allow oneself to be vulnerable is to risk being seen fully, without pretense or defense. For many men shaped by societal expectations to remain stoic or emotionally reserved, this act carries even greater weight. It's an offering of trust, a gesture that says, "Here I am. Take from this what you will, but know that I give it willingly." However, not every hug carries the same level of depth. The world of human interaction is rife with nuance, and not every gesture is imbued with profound meaning. Yet, even the simplest acts are not devoid of significance. A casual hug, for instance, may signal camaraderie or a sense of belonging in acknowledgement of your presence and a marker of shared humanity. But if the hug lingers, if there is a pause that stretches beyond the ordinary, you must ask yourself why. What is being communicated in the space of that extended moment? Is it affection, sorrow, or something deeper that words cannot encapsulate? Men, like all human beings, are not monolithic in their behaviors. Some men are naturally more tactile, expressing their emotions and connections through physical touch. For others, a hug might be a rare event, reserved for only the most significant occasions or people. This distinction matters because it shapes the interpretive lens through which the gesture must be viewed. To understand what a hug from a man means, you must understand the man himself, his emotional vocabulary, his norms and values regarding touch and expression. Without these insights, assumptions risk misinterpretation. Moreover, the act of a hug is not isolated from the broader cultural and societal frameworks within which it occurs. In some cultures, physical affection is abundant and expected, a natural part of human connection. In others, it is rare and carries connotations of intimacy that extend beyond the physical. A man raised in a culture where hugs are commonplace may not consider them significant, while another raised in a more reserved environment may view the act as monumental.